Hello, welcome to Knitting in Switzerland. This is episode 7 of my podcast. I am Ynke, I'm Dutch, and I live in central Switzerland with my family already almost for 10 years. So actually this summer we are 10 years in this three-dimensional country, as we call it, because the Netherlands obviously is a very flat country, and we love living in the mountains and have these 3 dimensions around us. So we always say we live in a 3-dimensional country and we love it here. But maybe it might be time to celebrate 10 years in Switzerland this summer. Oh, let's see what we do with that. Just spontaneous idea. So welcome. Today's episode is full. I have a lot to tell. I think it's because it took me a while to find time to record this episode. There's been busy weeks. We had Christmas holidays, and then we only had 4 weeks of like regular school and everything. And then we had another 2 weeks of holidays, which are actually still going on. So we went skiing for a couple of days, and you know, the moment the kids are out of their rhythm, the whole household is out of the rhythm, and I couldn't find any moments to sit and be still and quiet and do this recording. So it took me a little while. So a lot to talk about. First, I will talk about, of course, what I'm wearing. And actually, this is a new sweater, which just jumped off my needles yesterday evening, late. I literally was sewing in the ends, and then I was so tired that I almost fell asleep on the table and went to bed quickly. So it's not blocked yet. It's really just from the needles, but I thought I'd wear it now to show you. It's a sweater called Jolie Brise, or the pattern is called Jolie Brise. It's designed by Heidemarie Kaiser. She's a German designer. She's not that known, I would say, but I like her designs and especially like her color choices. So yeah, I'm more of a cool color person, and she's too. So a lot of her designs I like because they're also immediately in a color that I would love to knit them in. This I knitted in. Prepared. So this is knit in Sarah Tweed from BC Garn in 3 different colors. I'll show you this way, it's easier. Sarah Tweed. And yeah, so in the 3 colors, a blue, a greeny, and a pink. It's 100% silk, and that I found pretty interesting, so that's why I bought it. It's 3 different types of silk. It's 50% mulberry silk, 10% barrette silk, and 40% wool. So it's not 100% silk, sorry. It's a 60% silk and a 40% wool blend. And it's a very tweedy yarn. And, well, it was nice to knit with, but you don't get this of course you have a tweedy effect of that. So you don't get these really neat stitches. You always have these bubbly things. And the thread is not always as the same thickness. So you have thicker pieces and thinner pieces. So it's, for me as a knitting perfectionist, I would say, it's sometimes a bit difficult to accept that there are like uneven bits in the knitwear. So like now you can see, or here even you have this thing coming out, and it's not a very even knitting. But I love the colors, and as I said, it's not blocked yet, so I need to, I'm hoping it will get a little longer when I block it, because see the camera moved. You see, it's, for me, I think I would love it to be just a little longer, but I hope when blocking I can put that on. But for the rest, it's nice. It's not so warm, of course, knitwear, because it's an only 40% wool. So it's more like a spring sweater. And I thought, well, today actually, well, this whole week or this whole weeks, it feels like we're already in spring. And I know on one hand, I'm happy because I like spring, of course. Everything is green and starting and new and borny, getting, or say that, blooming. And I just made a tour around in the garden and I saw all these little flowers popping up. And of course, as a Dutch person, I love having bulbs in my garden. So every autumn I plant a few more bulbs, and then you kind of forget that you do that. And then in spring is like, oh, look at that, all those nice flowers coming up. And I'm like, oh yeah, of course, I put the bulbs in there 4 months ago. But yeah, it's perfect weather for this sweater, then at least, because I would not be wearing my 100% wool sweaters now. It's way too warm. So this is, yeah, this is nice. I started this in August last year, so obviously I didn't knit on it continuously, but it was one of these whips that I thought, well, I want to finish it before spring. And yeah, so, and it was a nice knit also to take on holidays, because it's really light material and it's not heavy, and it's also not so warm on your legs, or when you're knitting somewhere where it's warmer or outside, you don't want to have these 100% wool sweaty things on your needles. So this was perfect for yeah, in between the last couple of months. And now I'm happy it's finished, of course. So I have a nice spring sweater. Yeah, so that was what I'm wearing. I think I have 2 more finished objects, but I'll wait for those later on, because I first want to talk about one of the things I'm doing. As you know, I love yarn, I love knitting, but I also love organizing knitting events, organizing knitting groups, local knitting groups. I'm organizing a knitting retreats, which I will talk about later. And the biggest thing I'm organizing at this moment, together with my friend Fiona, is a big yarn bombing project. We have been yarn bombing in this community for the last 3-4 years. We call it community yarn art, because we really knit and crochet with the community, for the community. So we have a lot of people in the community joining us, and we knit with bright colors, and then we work towards covering some public items, items that can be covering things outside. So it could be trees, it can be fences, bridges, anything like that. And we did that the last couple of years, and now this year we said we want something bigger, and we're now covering, or working to cover, a house. So we're making a house jacket, because previous we always said we are making tree jackets, and now I thought, well, actually we're making a house jacket now. But this house jacket is going to be pretty big. The house the house that we are going to cover is one of the oldest houses here in town. It's over 150 years old, and it's pretty much still in its original state, outside and inside. Therefore, it's also declared as a monument, outside and inside, because it's really still in its original state. The house is fully covered in wooden shingles, which is a traditional way of covering walls here. And roofs, but mainly walls at this point for this house. And these wooden shingles are actually also 150 years old. So they're still there, but they're at the end of their lifetime, I would say. And that's also why the owner has now decided and got it organized that he's allowed to renovate the whole building. This renovation will take place later this year, and we decided then it's the perfect timing for us and together with the owner of the house, that we say, okay, shall we cover it now and make it shine one more time before it will go into renovation and renovating. So before they do that, we will cover it with colorful shingles. So we are knitting shingles. Instead of wooden ones, we make them from yarn. They're 15 by 15 centimeters. And we calculated that we needed 4,000 of these to cover 2 sides of the house. The house is on a corner, so you have like 2 sides of the house which are pretty visible. And we thought, let's cover those 2. And we measured and calculated, and we thought, well, we need around 4,000 to cover the 2 sides. And we have till mid-March to collect and to knit and crochet these little shingles. Then we have 2 more weeks where we prepare the installation, and then from 1st of April or beginning of April, we will put it up and it will stay out there for 6 to 8 weeks. So our deadline is 15th of March for collecting these 4,000 shingles. And we thought, oh my God, that's a lot. So we were already like, we hope we make it. We hope we make it. And then 2-3 weeks ago, we were like, what? We already have 4,000, huh? And yeah, we were counting all the shingles that we received, and we were like, we have already 4,000. What a crazy community we're in. So many people are so happy and working with us apparently that they have been knitting and crocheting like crazy, and we have 4,000 already. So, but yeah, we still had 5 or 6 more weeks before the deadline. So what to do? And we said, well, let's increase the target. Let's not cover 2 sides of the house, but cover 3 sides of the house, because there's another 3rd side which has a little garden in front of it, but which is still pretty visible from the street. So I said, okay, let's cover the 3rd side. So we add another 2,000 to our target. So now our target is 6,000 squares. And I counted yesterday, and then we had 4,600. So we're about 77% of our target now. And then this morning, like every morning, I go outside. I have a bench outside of my door where we have yarn to grab for those people that need yarn to knit or crochet shingles. And I have a little basket where you can drop off your finished shingles. And I must say, it's so fun every morning when I go out. And this morning I made a little video. I go out, go to my bench, and I see a basket, and the basket is full with colorful shingles. And so today I just picked up this bunch, another bunch, and another bunch. So it's just so fun. It's this is one person, and I love it how they put them together. For me, this is typical Swiss, to tie together your, they do it also, yeah, so to tie together with a little rope your things. The Swiss do that also, and it's actually it's even obliged to do if you want to hand in your old paper to the recycling. We have this recycling area in town where you can bring your glass, your aluminium, your plastics, and all these other things. You can recycle cardboard, paper, and actually if you want to bring paper there, you have to bring it like it cannot be in a bag or in a box or anything. It needs to be an A4 folded, really nice, and then with a little rope around it. And so I don't know how they do it, but these Swiss people do that really neat and really nice, and it looks like really, it's almost a pity that you throw it then in the recycling container. And but I haven't mastered this thing yet, so I go to actually the town next to our town, because there they allow you to bring your paper also just as a pile without a little rope around it. And I'm more like, I'm putting it in bags, and I empty the bags in front of in the container, and that's allowed. But in my town, it's not allowed to bring your paper like that. If you bring paper to the recycling, you have to put a little ribbon around it and have it exactly A4 format. What else do I have? Oh yeah, for the house, I was talking about the house. Another thing I've been making for the house, you can see it here on the bed. It's a really big piece, so I take it, I can grab it. Show. It's huge. This is a piece we made for our last installation. It was covering a bridge, and later on it was a sign, and it says Aegeri, and then the last word, first we had the word zoo there, because 2 years ago we made a zoo, Yarnbombing zoo, so we had Aegeri zoo, and then we used this piece for our installation at the elderly home, local elderly home. And then we thought, well, the piece is still nice, but let's not make it zoo, but make it Omi, which means grandmother. So we had a sign of saying Aegeri Omi at their installation at the elderly home. And now, of course, we thought, well, this piece still looks okay. We can use it, but we need another word. And now I've added the word. I actually reused the letters, just took them off again and stitched them on differently. So making new letters, and I added a few pieces. And now I made the word house, which is, well, written in German, of course, it means house. So Aegeri house. So this is one of the pieces we have been reusing many times now. And this will be up at the house. We don't know exactly where yet, but at one of the sides where it's visible, maybe a bit higher. Yeah, so my job was to recycle the letters and make them into a new word. So that I did. Oh, maybe it's nice to say as well that I'm looking there because I have a few bags of more shingles here. There's 90 shingles in this one. I've been counting, writing on the bags how many are there. There's 90 in that bag, and there's 50 shingles in this bag. And we actually received quite some shingles this year this project from people outside our own community, which is fun. I noticed that maybe also via these videos, but also via our Instagram account of the project, we got some followers from all over the world who were also into yarn bombing. And we had, for example, a lady in Berlin. She has sent over 300 shingles to us, which was wow, flabbergasting, of course. And I just actually yesterday got another message of another lady in Germany who's also finished 100 shingles for us, and they mail them by mail or DHL or to us, and it's just so fun that you see that's not just people from the community, but people from like other parts of Europe are just joining in as well, and not just making a few, but making many shingles. And obviously that's also one of the reasons I think that we reached our targets, and that we had to put a new target, which is fun. So we're covering 3 sides, and actually we do also have a plan for the 4th side. So if all goes well, we will cover 4 sides of this house. And as said, it's a big house. So another finished object. You've seen it maybe already. I finished the Daisy cardigan. I must say, this is also not blocked yet because I finished it during the holidays, and then my daughter wanted to wear it immediately, so I didn't have time to block it, wet block it. So it's still like fresh off the needles in that sense, and a bit worn in the meantime. But I will block it in the next days, and hopefully it will look even nicer then. This is a pattern from Knitting for Olive. It's called the Daisy cardigan. I knitted it in Knitting for Olive in the original yarn. It's the combination of the merino of Knitting for Olive, and I took, the sun is coming into it. This is the color Wild Berries, and I held that together with their plum mohair. And yeah, then you get this really nice fabric. The original, I followed the pattern fully. I made the biggest size, which is for 8-year-old. My daughter is only 4, but she's pretty big, and I wanted her to wear it for at least 1 or 2 more years. So I followed the design 100%. Only thing I changed was the colors of the flowers, because the design calls for white flowers. Daisies are obviously mostly white. But I must say, I thought it was a little bit boring, and also my daughter already said, like, I want other color flowers. So we picked together. First she said she wanted yellow flowers, but then in the end I said, oh, maybe it's nice also to have different colors. And she said, yes. So we picked 3 colors from my stash, which is just sock yarn. So you only need little bits of sock yarn. So we have this orangey, this pink, and this red. And then I made the flowers in these 3 colors. It was the first time for me that I was embroidering on knitwear. And yeah, I must say it's not perfect. And I see like, oh my God, it's not all really nice. But actually flowers are not perfect either, right? There's always this leaf that is maybe a little bigger or smaller than the other leaf. So, yeah, and on the other hand, it's also a bit playful to have not perfect flowers. And I must say, I'm really happy with the end result. It just makes it a bit more colorful, a bit more playful, and yeah, a bit more suiting also maybe my daughter, because she is also a bit more, I would say, colorful character than she's, well, let's say she's not a boring kid. Of course, everybody says that from their own kid, but I just, the colors feel better, suit her better than just white flowers. Yeah, I like the pattern. It's so on the back side you don't have any flowers. They're only at the front side of the cardigan and on the arms. And the pattern says exactly where you have to make one of these flower hearts as a preparation. So while you knit, you make these little white bumps, and then afterwards you knit you stitch the petals of the flowers to it. Another thing which I really liked, which I never done before, was crocheting your own buttons. Because this cardigan, the buttons are crocheted. You crochet them. And I was like, what? And it worked really nice. It was really easy. And yeah, and obviously they're exactly the right color because you crochet them in the yarn where you're knitting with. And you don't need to buy any buttons, and you can finish your project just on the go where you are. You don't need to have any other tools. You have just a crochet needle. And that was just so fun. So I really can recommend crochet your own buttons. This is really fun and easy. And I'm sure you can find different patterns for crocheting buttons at the internet. I just followed the one which was recommended by Knitting for Olive in this pattern. But it was, yeah, and it works. I mean, they really, it works. You make buttonholes already while you knit. So your buttonholes are set, and then you crochet your buttons and you sew them on the right spot so you can put them in the hole. And yeah, so finished object, really happy, not just me, but also my daughter. I mean, she was wearing it all day, the last couple of days, so I guess she's happy with it too. But now it's time to block and make it even nicer. Well, it's nice. I have 2 items to block, so that's a job for this afternoon or tomorrow. Okay, now I have to see if I can put it up again. See, you can keep looking at it. Oh yeah, then I made this swatch before I started the cardigan. Of course, I was nice. I was a good girl. I made a swatch. I washed it, blocked it to measure the gauge, and I was exactly on gauge actually with the recommended needles. And I made sure that my swatch was 15 by 15 centimeters. So now that my project is done, I can use this as a shingle for the house. So one more shingle of those 6,000 finished. Yes, another finished item was a quick knit. This hat, my older daughter, she's 10 now. She had cold ears in the winter, and she has hats, but they were all a bit small. So I said, well, I quickly knit you another one. I had this bulky Rowan yarn, which is this Rowan Merino Aria. So it's a merino wool, 50 gram, 93% wool, 7% polyamide. It's really soft. This is something everybody can have on their skin, I guess. And I thought, well, I had 2 balls of that, and I thought, well, let's quickly knit a hat. So I looked on Ravelry for a free hat pattern in bulky yarn, just to know a little bit like how many stitches to cast on. So I did that, and then I just knit it, and then I said to her, oh, let's try it on. And she tried it on, and I was like, oh, I really have to start decreasing now. And I did, and I just made up a decreasing pattern myself. And yeah, I have to say then, of course, the free pattern I used was the Scott's, write it down. Yeah, Scott hat from Galt House of Yarn. I will link it below. It's a free pattern. But I used the pattern just to know the amount of stitches that I had to cast on. And then then the rest I made up myself. So actually the decreases are made up myself. I just divided the stitches in 4 and then started decreasing every other round. And I did a double, is it a double rib? No, it's a one-on-one rib, but a folded rib. That's what I was making, because I thought it's warm on her ears. But the thing is, somehow, I think it's still a bit too small. If I wear it myself, you see also, if you want to really wear it over your ears, you have to put it like this, and then actually it's a bit, you should, because I think it should be like this, that you don't see the top level of the ribbing, but then your ears are not fully covered. So I think I made it a little too short, that I started decreasing too early. My daughter says, "It's fine, mommy, it's fine." But now I'm on the edge of, should I pull it out again and knit a few more rows and then decrease? But she says she's happy with it. So I don't know. I have yarn left over. This is the second ball. I had to start a second ball, and but it's definitely, I have enough. So I could just take out the decreases, and if it was for me, I would, but because it's for her and she says she's happy, I'm not sure if I do it. So it's a doubt still. Well, with this weather, she definitely doesn't need a warm hat like that, so I have some time to think. Yeah, that's again my what do you call it? Imperfect perfectionism. So I'm a perfectionist, and but I know it, and I can sometimes I can deal with it like pretty easy. I know more when I'm stressed, then it's more in my way than normal. But yeah, for these kind of things, this is kind of an exercise for myself as well. Like, I see it's not the perfect hat when she wears it, but maybe it's good enough. And that's something that's a more of a mental thing in my mental exercise, I would say, for myself. Let's see what I'm doing with this. Am I going to accept that it's not the perfect hat, or am I going to change it? And yeah, I don't know yet for this one. Good. What was else I was going to talk to you about? Oh yeah, I bought something, and I bought something knitting related, which I think every knitter should have. Yes, or should read. Let's say you don't need to have it, you need to read it or know what's in it. It's a book, and it's a book a friend of mine suggested it to me, and when I saw that, I was immediately like, oh my god, I need that. It's this book. It's called Knitting Comfortably, and written by Carson Demers. He's a physiotherapist and a knitter. And this whole book, it's a thick, heavy book. This whole book describes everything related to the ergonomics of knitting. Like everything you need to know actually about what muscles, postures, or what muscles you use when you knit, how to make sure that you don't get any injuries, all about posture, what postures for when you sit and knit, where do you have to take into account, also the effect of different knitting techniques on your ergonomics. So if you're a continental knitter or an English style knitter, or if you are so a thrower or a picker, let's say, and also like how you do your purl stitches, even on that level, depending on how you hold your yarn, you're using different muscles in your body, and that has a different effect on the ergonomics of what you're doing, which has a different effect on your physiology, on your whole body. And obviously it can cause injuries if you don't do it well. And well, I'm not a health expert by far, but I'm always interested, and especially I'm interested when I feel something myself when I'm knitting or after I've been knitting a lot, and I'm like, shoulder, back, neck. Oh no, I don't. And then I go to the physio, and the first thing I said to the physio is, it's probably caused by my knitting, but I'm not going to stop my knitting. I want to continue knitting. So please solve it. Or how can I solve this issue without stopping how to knit? And well, if you have that same thing, read this, because this really helps. This gives you all the insights you need to know. I must say I've changed a lot of my knitting postures after reading this. And there's also a chapter on exercises, which you can do to prevent knitting injuries. And yeah, that's of course also really helpful. And one of the most striking things for me as well is that most of us, of course, sit a lot behind computers and during the day for work, and then in the evenings we knit as a hobby. And actually that your body doesn't like that, because the posture when you sit behind a computer is pretty similar to the posture you have when you're knitting. And yeah, so you have to be aware of that and just know that there are things you can do to avoid injuries. That's actually the most important thing for me. Yeah, so there's, and it's written very nice because it's written by a knitter. So all the examples, all the explanations are related, are explained with words that knitters understand. Like even muscles are described as fibers, which have some elasticity in it, but not endless, and that there's a different elasticity in yarn fibers as there is a different elasticity in the fibers in your body. And just by these fun metaphors, you really understand it better, and you feel really on the same level as the author, because he's describing it in a way that we like to read things as knitters. So it's that's good. Yeah, and it has all these also, yeah, a lot of images and photos and things, like, for example, how you can do some stretches, or how you can hold your yarn, like what happens when you hold your yarn this way, what happens when you hold your yarn that way. Yeah, it's a big, for me, it's my new Bible, I must say. And shows you how to sit straight, and yeah, I don't know. There's so much to talk about this book, and of course I cannot, I'm not going to read it out all to you, but it's just, yeah. Do you see that? Every time I put something on the table, the phone drops. It's just funny. It's not so stable at the moment. But anyway, that about my new knitting Bible. Yes, the retreat. I am organizing a knitting retreat end of September this year, 26th of September till 29th of September. And I'm organizing it here in my valley in central Switzerland. And I'm very, well, I was finished with the preparations. I had everything booked. I had rooms, I had my workshop leaders, I had the whole program organized, and I was ready to open up registration. And then the hotel, or yeah, the location where I wanted to be, all of a sudden pulled out because they made a mistake in the reservations and my rooms were not reserved for me anymore. So that was a big what? So at first I thought, oh, let's cancel the whole thing. And then I thought, well, no, I know there's already so many people really looking forward to this event, and I've got loads of people already on the waiting list to be notified when the registration opens. So I thought, well, maybe I should continue. So I did my very best to find a new location, and I found one. So I have again rooms booked. I had to rearrange the program a little bit because we're at a different location now and has other facilities, and I had to also reorganize the facilities. But I'm on that now, and I hope to have that finished within, let's say, 1-2 weeks. I don't want to give like false promises because I'm very much depending on what other people at this point. I'm asked for quotes, and I'm just waiting for the quotes to come in. So I cannot promise too much, but I hope to finish it within 1 or 2 weeks from now, the full program, that I know all the costs, and then I can open registrations, because then I can tell people what will it cost to come for the 3 days. The program is fun. I found 3 really good, very professional workshop leaders who are going to give workshops to the participants. 3 totally different workshops, like really out, like at the wide range of knitting and yarn related topics. And that's the main thing of the retreat for me. That was the most important element, is to have real good fun workshops. And of course there's also a further program. We have all our meals together. We're at a nice location. I want to show you in those 3 days, not just knitting, but also my environment here, or like my surroundings, this community. We are in a little city close to the mountains, and we have a big lake at our town. So I also wanted to do something in the program with the water, with the mountains, and so I'm doing all these kind of things. And of course with the food, to have some traditional Swiss food, and showing you what Switzerland is about, and all these things. So it's it's not just the knitting, it's also being together with other knitters from all over the world, and show them and show the group where I live and why I like it here so much. So that's on my plate, next to all the other things I just talked about. And so if you are interested in joining the retreat, you can still pre-register. That means that you can send me an email and tell me that you're interested in the retreat, and then I put you on the mailing list. People on this mailing list will receive an email that the registration is open first. And after they had the opportunity to register, then it will open for other people, if there's still spots left. I have 30 spots in total, and I really hope I can fill all those spots, and I also don't hope that there are too many people willing to register and then I have to let down many of them. So I hope 30 is the right amount. And I'm really looking forward to that, but I must say, it's maybe the timing is not fully right for me because I'm having so much things going on at the moment. But I'm on it still, and within 1 or 2 weeks I will open registration for the pre-registered people. To end this video, I wanted to share you some images of an outing we did recently with the kids. My daughter turned 10 in November, and most of our friends are also that age, and they are now in an age group where they not give physical presents to each other anymore when they have their birthday, but more like outings. So when one has their birthday, they give an outing to do something together in the coming weeks as a present. And my daughter gave an outing like that to her friend. And we figured out there was a new indoor play area not so far away from us. And we invited this friend to join us. So we had the 3 kids, my 2 kids, and then the friend of hers, to go to this indoor play area. I don't know about you, but I'm not a fan of indoor play areas because most of the time they're like enormous, like it's just too much. There's too much noise and lights and screaming and other kids running around, and that really costs a lot of energy. If I spend an hour in an area like that, I'm like completely blown away. So it's not my favorite thing to do. So I said to my husband, okay, if we go, you go with me. We go two adults, 3 kids. We at least then share, and we can, share the burden, let's say, because I know the kids love it. So you do it for them, right? So, and then I thought, well, what is the thing I enjoy most about this outing? It's actually the drive to it and the drive back, because we have to drive a different route, which we normally don't go to that often. It's really nice. It's really beautiful. We were going towards the mountains, like the higher mountains. And so I made some images from the car and when we were there, and on the way back to show you a little bit of Switzerland. My way to and from an indoor playground, play area. And I must say, in the end, the play area where we were was not as bad as I imagined it to be. It was really new and not a lot of people knew it yet, so it was not so busy. And they also decorated it really nice, so it looked as quiet as possible for a play area. I'm not sure, that's not really the right word. I'm just looking like, I can't find the English word. But I mean that you don't get all these impulses because of bright colors and bright lights. They kind of keep the colors low, damp colors like pastel colors and everything. And it was a bit, they really did an effort to keep it a bit more nice for parents too, let's say. So some videos of my way to and from the play area. And on the way back, I also walked a big part of the way. I asked my husband to drop me off 9 kilometers or 10 kilometers from home, and I walked a nice route back home. So I had my fun that day too. So join me on that ride and hike, and I'd like to see you next time. I don't know when it will be, 2, 3, 4 weeks from now. I have no clue. We'll see. And hopefully I can tell you more about everything I'm doing by then. Okay, see you. Bye-bye.